Oh boy.
So now we are recording locally.
And there is evidence of the madness happening on the screen.
Yeah. So basically what'll happen is I'll upload this to YouTube whenever this episode comes out. So
Nice.
for better or for worse.
Indeed.
All right, you guys ready to start?
Yeah.
All right, I'm basically going to start like normal with the rules and lists, and then it'll go Knobs, Hannah, then myself for each of these lists.
Oh, my ears.
So stupid. All right, let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston. Going around the room, we have Knobs.
What's up?
And we got the Hannah.
Hey.
So this is probably one of our 2 most fun episodes of the year. We're on break right now. You know, we're not doing any of this live. We're just gonna chill and hang out.
Live stuff, son.
So this is the top 10 episode. So we've been doing this ever since the very first year of the show. About a month after we started the show, like, hey, we should probably do top 10. So here are the rules to get everybody on the same page as we start. This is each person's top 10 in reverse order. So of course we don't start at 1 because you got to build this up. You know,
yeah,
so
for sure.
Start a show with a showstopper. We have not seen each other's lists. So we have no idea what is on each other's list. These are, they go into the vault after they've been written, like today, and then we pull them back out for the episode.
Yes.
Yep. You'll notice that for, especially the top 10 list, each one of us that isn't talking about their own top 10, we typically don't talk a lot. We're going to let the person have their own moment. You got your own top 10. You got the spotlight. And there are no real rules on what people have in their top 10 lists. This kind of becomes more important now that we have a lot of remakes and remasters and HDs and all this stuff. Who cares?
Yeah, it's pretty much what we played, what we enjoyed this year.
Yeah, and that's what I wrote down, and I write down this every year. Not a comprehensive list of what's the best of the year, just what we loved the most. So
we can only judge on what we've played.
Exactly. And
bingo.
I don't even start any rules about, like, you have to have played at least 76% of this game to have it. Who cares? If you loved it, put it on your list. That's totally cool. So the sections are as thus. We're going to do our top 10, 10 to 1, our favorite game of the year. Self-explanatory. Honorable mentions. 10 games we loved, but maybe didn't get to the list. Maybe we didn't finish enough of it. Maybe for some reason couldn't make it to the actual top 10. And then, of course, best game of last year, this year. So something that came out in 2013, we really loved once we got to it in 2014. And then we used to do letdowns of the year, but that was just such a bummer to
can we just settle on Peggle 2 for that right now?
Sure. That one's
Watch
good.
Dogs.
Yeah. And so the very last list this year is games I missed. Just stuff we have, stuff we wanted, just haven't gotten to it. So, all right, that's our format, and we're gonna. So the layout for each section goes: Knobs will start, then the Hannah, then myself. So Knobs, let's start out with your top 10 of 2014, starting at number 10.
Number 10. All right. Well, we'll start off with Destiny. I don't think I could have a game that I played this year look this good and not make my list. Even though I did not sink an entire large amount of time into this game,
Unlike
what I
some
did
of
play,
us.
I really did. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the game. It just couldn't grab me.
Yeah.
Like the loot system and the experience and the light, whatever. I never cared enough to learn about it, so it's why it's down in the basement right now. But I enjoyed it. The game looked fantastic and played really well. I really loved the gunplay in that game. I just wish I loved it more. I love it. Number 10.
Yep.
It's enjoying number 10 of the moment for me. Number 9, Lego Marvel.
Nice.
Which I just finished a few weeks ago, probably a month by the time you hear this. But I really enjoyed this game from top to bottom. Being a large Marvel fan that I am, clearly, as I placard the shirt. But it was really good. At least like it's the Lego games are almost workmanship right now. Like you know what you're getting when you get into them, just collecting studs and enjoying a very very goofy storyline. And seeing Lego Galactus was pretty satisfying. Okay. Number 8, Titanfall.
Oh yeah.
That came out this year, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Titanfall. That's the same thing. I feel the same feelings I did with Destiny. Like I was really excited to play these games and really hoping to pour a lot of time into them, and it just didn't happen for me. And I love the way that game plays. I love the speed of the combat. Jumping into a Titan, it might be one of my favorite things in video games in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I just wish there was more meat on the bone in that game for me.
Yeah.
It didn't take too long to max everything out and see everything that game had to offer. I do have the season pass for DLC. I haven't played any of it. I want to love you, Titans, but I just can't love you more. Number 8. I just can't. You, sir, are enjoying 8% of the moment. But the game that stole the thunder from the entire year as my number 7 is Battlefield 4 in the DLC.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you'd have told me at the start of this year that I would have dropped 300 plus hours into Battlefield, I'd have smacked it through a microphone. And that just goes to show you that the people you play games with really determines how much enjoyment you will get out of a multiplayer game.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Because that is what I think I'm missing from Titanfall and Destiny is a group of people to really play those games with. Much like the Borderlands thing. Like that was, it was we were always playing in a group. You were rarely rolling that game solo.
Yeah.
And this one, we've had a consistent cadre of folks to go out there and really, really have a blast. And every week has just been an absolute riot. It has been a pretty substantial, I'm going to say, midway replacement for our Left 4 Dead Monday night game night. So
Yeah.
it's fun, it's easy to jump into, and you can always have fun with it. Number 6, Dead Rising 3.
Oh yeah.
I have never really been into Dead Rising games until this one, and I absolutely destroyed it. Like, I literally could not play enough of this game until that game was wore out and put on the shelf. Like, I played all the DLC. I loved every minute of it. It kept dragging me back for more, and I just love playing Dead Rising 3. Though the weapons crafting was easy and fun to do, like almost instantaneously. Like you knew what areas to go to, the parts that you had to grab to make your consistent weapons. Pro tip: jazz hands rock. Gloves and pistols or any gun, and you got jazz hands, and you were walking death.
Jeez.
And I love every minute of it. Yeah, that game was just outstanding from the get-go. I really enjoyed the story and how they tied in Frank West and the whatever green guy into everything. Like, I really like where that game was going, and I really hope they keep adding to that franchise because it was a lot of fun to play this time around. Yeah, I enjoyed every minute of that game. 5, a game, just kind of a stopgap game for me, is Power Star Golf, as we're waiting for the next edition of like a PGA Tour Tiger Woods style golf game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really want to play that game a significant more. But yeah, that's just been another thing with the advent of the Rivals mode, going down, taking guys, others' best round marks is probably the thing I've enjoyed the most about this game. I wish you had 1-to-1 co-op, but this is the next best thing.
Mm-hmm.
And not knowing what that person's going to hit on your round, because all you get is the score, and you have a choice to play next to them or just play against their markers, makes just a lonely round a lot more competitive and a lot more fun. That is a fantastic game. Number 4, Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah.
Nice.
That game was a ton of fun. An absolute ton of fun. I wish I'd have stuck around and done all the collectibles and beat that game into the ground. I saw that where that rabbit hole was going, and I had to tap out of it so I could play something else. But that game was from the onset just stupid fun. Stupid fun. I just wish the soundtrack was a little more solid. Not that it's bad. I just think they could have gone in a little different direction, a little more Lollipop Chainsaw, like early '90s grunge rock type of situation would have been a lot better for that game.
Yeah.
But from start to finish, that game's awesome. And I think everyone, if you own an Xbox One, you should play that game. By far. Number 3.
Top 3.
Wolfenstein.
Ooh, wow.
That game was a surprise.
It was.
I didn't play which one was the New Order, the one that came out on the 360.
I don't remember the title of that one.
Yeah, that was.
This one's the New Order.
Yeah, this was the New Order. I think the last one was just straight up called Wolfenstein.
Straight up Wolfenstein.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
The fact that they made the original Wolfenstein: A Spear of Destiny canon blew me away.
Yeah.
Which makes me want to go back and play the Wolfenstein. I guess you would call it a soft reboot.
Probably.
I don't know, but whatever it was outstanding. Probably some of my favorite character lines in that game. But it made you feel so immersed in that world of it had the Nazis won, and in the best way possible. Like, actually made that seem feasible in their little world.
Yeah.
And how it really affected, because you do a couple time jumps in that game from the war to present day Nazi occupied world, and seeing the not so much destitution, but their influence on the world as it is. And that was really good from start to finish. I really enjoyed it. And the way they went about conveying the story with the internal monologue with him talking to himself in a subdued tone, I thought was great. I thought that was a nice little touch, because instead of just a normal VO, it was literally the man having a conversation with himself and just out loud. And I really enjoyed that. Number 2, South Park: The Stick of Truth.
Yeah.
I haven't had this much fun in a game, let alone an RPG, as much as I did with this game. This game was perfect from start to finish. Like, I can't think of anything else. I cannot find a single fault in this game.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that would reason why it's not my number 1 is the game above it was completely out of left field and way too much fun for me not to take this spot.
Yeah.
But Stick of Truth, the voiceover was perfect, the animation was perfect, the storyline was ridiculous, right in lines with South Park, and just everything from the characters and the supers and the weapons. It was so South Park, it hurt me. Like, I loved it. And it actually got me watching South Park again.
Nice.
So, hats off to you guys for not only conquering every medium available at this point. It's outstanding. And I think that game was one of the few games that had such a storied release date and development time that there was no way that it was going to deliver, in my mind, a great game. And they pulled it off.
Yeah.
Pulled it off in spades. Like, it is one of my favorite games I've ever played. All right, and number one.
Number 1.
The Ichiban this year is Shadows of Mordor.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Hands down, the best game I've played this year. I can't remember being so engrossed in a game system that had really nothing to do with the storyline.
Yeah.
Or just every death having some sort of effect on your gameplay, as it were, throughout the entire game. Because when you die, we're talking about the Nemesis system here, or I'm talking about the Nemesis system here.
That's what you're talking about.
Is that game added a level to just a very generic, open world-ish beat 'em up game, and just took to like, hey, we're gonna do something cool with it. We're gonna make every death count or mean something to make your game harder. So you need to play better, or this is gonna be next to impossible to do.
Yeah.
And the characters in that game, and it felt involved in the world, and this is the way I always felt that licensed games should be, because this is a Lord of the Rings game, but it's a side story of what's happening or has happened before or in that Tolkien universe that just, it's awesome. To every ounce of it is just awesome. Not only is it's ultra violent, which I'm not saying I'm not a fan of, but you had this sense of power, and the fighting style that they pretty much aped from like the this kind of a Assassin's Creed Batman hybrid.
Yeah.
And man, you could roll a ton of dudes in this game, and it is satisfying on every execution and every landed blow. It's shadow mounting something. Like, it was just like I could shoot an arrow and I teleport on it, and now I'm riding a beast.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It is. Wow. I'm still floored that this game was this good, and it literally ate up my gameplay for probably a month and a half.
Yeah.
Is all I played was this game.
Nice.
And I feel grateful for it. So that's it.
All right.
Shadows of Mordor's got the sombrero.
Gets a gold star. All
Indeed.
right, Hannah, what about your top 10 list? Number 10.
Well, let's start at number 10. Number 10 for me is Hearthstone.
Oh.
So this is the only multiplayer game on this list because I just don't have the time or dedication for a full multiplayer game. But this is Magic the Gathering mixed with World of Warcraft with a little, sprinkle on top of here's all this cool stuff that you wish you could do in real tabletop card games that's impossible to keep track of.
Yeah.
And it just they add all these cool little twists on the traditional, trading card game element that, in a digital context totally work, in a physical context would just fall apart because it's too many rules to keep track of. They've really sort of brought this sort of style of game into the next phase of its life. And they're honestly at this point they're showing Magic how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Because the Magic games pale in comparison to how this plays, and opening card packs is the coolest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is just so satisfying. Just bursts open and you pick your cards, and it's like, yeah, I got that card.
Yeah.
So I still remember the first legendary I got. It flipped over, and not 2 seconds later, I got a message from the other JC like, you got that card? Come on, I've been trying to get that card for weeks. But it's this great if you haven't played it, play it. It's free. Just check it out.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely it didn't hook me as much as it could have. I sort of stopped playing it right before the DLC came out with Nextaramas and all that stuff. Probably a good thing for me. Otherwise, I think I'd still be playing it just as much as I possibly could. Number 9 is Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes.
Oh, nice.
So I felt like I couldn't really move this up too high because it's basically a glorified demo, and I'm really okay with that fact. I like the fact that it's a taste of Metal Gear to come. It's sort of a stopgap between what we've had recently with Metal Gear Solid 4. Well, recently. And the bridge to the Phantom Pain. There's been so much hype and so much build up for the Phantom Pain that this was sort of a necessary step to sort of just slake that thirst for a little bit before we get to the main portion of the game. This is the appetizer to Phantom Pain's full entree. Yeah, is how I view it. But it's bringing Metal Gear into modern gaming in a much better way. The control scheme doesn't make your hands want to fall off, which is pretty great, and definitely a step forward for the series. And it sounds like an insult, but the amount of stuff that you can do and you are able to do in the Metal Gear games with just a few button presses, but if you get one of them wrong, everything goes to poops.
Yeah.
So that is definitely it just makes me, I can't wait to have Phantom Pain on this list. Is basically what it comes. This is a placeholder for Phantom Pain.
Yeah.
At number 10.
At number 9.
Oh yeah, Hearthstone.
Yes. Number 8, ironically enough, is Mario Kart 8. So I didn't play a ton of this, but the little bit that I did play, it was always fun. Anytime I sat down to play this game, it was always fun. And that is one of those things in a game that you find hard to do. There's sometimes you sit down with a game and you're playing it and you're like, I'm just not having fun with this today. I'm doing, you're stuck in a mission or you're at a certain point in it where it's just sort of, it's slowed down and it doesn't have the same pace or action. This never happens with Mario Kart. You pick it up, you play it, and it is always, always awesome. And the DLC, especially with the new tracks, like and the new, you got the Hyrule bike, you've got Link, you've got Tanuki Mario, and I think there was a new version of Peach in there too. And it's these little things, but when you're riding around as Link on a motorcycle that's themed after the Hylian shield, like you can't help but feel like this is awesome. This is pretty great. But yeah, I definitely look forward to playing a bunch more of this, and it really sort of threw me back into like my childhood because Mario Kart 64 was a staple for me and my sister. We would play it constantly, and having like the throwback tracks in there is really, really cool.
It's good when Nintendo gets it right.
It is. It really is. And when they do get it right, it's just like it's always a home run.
Yep.
Number 7 is The Last of Us Remastered.
Oh, right.
That's another one.
So there's a lot of stuff I really, really liked about this game. It had really great individual moments throughout of gameplay. There's a particular scene where you get caught in a trap and you're upside down and you have to defend yourself while you're hanging from one angle upside down. And it's one of my favorite moments in a horror game because it keeps you in control, but it makes you completely immobile. And it's just got this, you don't know, I was frustrated with it initially, but upon playing it again and again, it's like, wow, this is a really interesting and really fun way to handle this moment. Like you're in imminent danger. And a lot of times in games, with regenerating health and things like that, you're not really in danger. Mm. And Last of Us, you are constantly in danger of just, you're done. And at moments, really frustrating. At other times, it makes for a great sense of atmosphere. But the good definitely outweighed the negative. And it was one of the first games where I had a really visceral reaction to the ending and to the choices the character I'm playing made in a really long time. Like, it was actually upsetting. And it really just it hit home, and I really, really enjoyed my time with it. And on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, number 6, Ollie Ollie. So 2D skateboarding game where literally your whole goal is to make it through the level and do as many tricks as possible. Super simple concept, amazingly in-depth execution. The trick list in this game is insanely long. The amount of stuff you can do and just the way you can handle like different sections of a level to just squeeze out as many possible points and as many possible stars in that level. The in-level challenges where it's like grind every rail or collect every can of spray paint or, get a combo that's X amount of points long. Just make you go back and really master these levels as best you can. And then it just unlocks the quote-unquote master version of the level with 5 new challenges that you have to do. And it's just really, it's got such a good carrot on a stick, and the controls are so slick, and it's just it's the perfect Vita game. Like, if I were going to introduce someone to the Vita and like the interesting games on it, this would definitely be at the top of the list for it. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I'm super pumped that they're making a sequel for it, and I'm glad that it's starting to get out to more systems. I believe it came out on PC recently, but if you haven't played it yet, try and find a copy and at least try it out. May not be everyone's bag, but man, this game really, really stuck with me this year. Number 5 is another Vita game, Rogue Legacy.
Oh, yeah.
Which is... I played so much of this game. I don't even think I beat it. Like, I think I beat the first and second bosses, I don't think I got much beyond that. I have to fire this up again soon. I was making this list, and I was like, all these games, I'm like, oh yeah, I should get back to that. But Rogue Legacy was just it hit at the perfect time. It was sort of in a dead spot in the year where there weren't a whole lot of games coming out. And when it dropped, it was the only thing I was playing for weeks on end. Just trying to, grind out gold and get new abilities and, new armor and all the stuff you can do. And, like, the Metroidvania aspect combined with you wouldn't think that would work. Like, it sounds like they're two polar opposites. Like, no, you can't have a randomly generated Metroidvania. That's madness. And it sort of is, but in a really great way. And they did a phenomenal job with that on the Vita, especially with the cross-save capabilities. Like, I can literally pick it up and just play it on the PS4.
Yeah.
And it's to be commended how good of a game this is, that it just works on this system. Number 4 is the game that I can't stop playing, Destiny. So I just recently picked this up, but it got its hooks into me to the point where I think I've had it 3 weeks, maybe a month. I'm level 26, and I'm definitely deeply considering purchasing the first DLC. The game looks phenomenal. It controls just the way the shooting works in this game. It just feels so satisfying. And my favorite thing to do now, as a hunter, is go to like one of the patrol missions on Earth or Mars or Venus and see how many kills I can get in a row with my throwing knife. Because on a certain level of enemy, it's a one-hit kill to the head. And one of the abilities you have as a hunter is if you kill someone with a critical with your throwing knife, it immediately resets the cooldown. I've literally whipped through entire just squads of enemies, just knife in the head, knife in the head, knife in the head, knife in the head. And it is... But to get to that point with a game where you're comfortable doing something just crazy like that because you want to, not because it's like a challenge within the game, which actually it is. It's one of the bounties that you can do every day, which is another thing I really, for some reason, like about it. But if you give me a mobile game and it's like, oh, hey, play every day, I'd get frustrated with it. For some reason with Destiny, I'm like, I gotta go do my bounties. I gotta take my half hour here, and I gotta go to Mars, and I gotta go to Earth, and I gotta do a strike, and I gotta not die during that whole strike, and I died during that strike, so I guess I gotta do another one. But it's just, there's something about this game, and it's my first initial impression of it was, it's the darkness versus the Guardians of Light, it's this generic whole thing, and then you start reading the Grimoire, and you're like, okay, this is really cool. There's really interesting lore behind this too. It's not just it is a great multiplayer shooter, and that's another nod for it. This is the first time I've played competitive multiplayer in a shooter in years. Mm-hmm. I have sworn that off because I find it frustrating and just I played Counter-Strike forever. I got my fill of it. But Destiny, especially the control maps, when you're just trying to go from point to point and keep control of it, it's chaos. It's complete chaos in the best way. And I can't say enough good things about this game. I'm really looking forward to playing, a whole bunch more when the DLC comes out, and hopefully getting a group together to do the new raid. Excuse me. But yeah, now we are in the top 3 zone.
Top 3.
And number 3 is Infamous Second Son. Nice. This is one of the first major games I picked up for PS4 after I got it, and I'm really glad this was one of the first games I got for it, because it's stunning. Mm-hmm. It looks amazing. If you're showing off the PS4 at this point, this is one of the games you pop in. This and Destiny are two of probably the best looking games, not only stylistically, but just graphically overall. And they both really work incredibly well. But the thing I like about Infamous Second Son is it didn't give me that feeling of choice paralysis like you get with, like the basically Ubisoft open world games, where they just shotgun so much content at you, you're not sure what to do with it. Mm-hmm. For an open world game, it's very tight, it's very focused, and doing all of the different mission types that they have, it doesn't feel like a chore. I never got to a point in this game, there may have been a mission here or there that were kind of annoying, like, spot the evil dude in the crowd of normal people, but even then, once you figure out how that worked, you could end those missions in minutes instead of taking 10-15 minutes to do them. But this is one I sat down and I very specifically was like, I'm going to beat this game. I'm going to sit down and beat this game. It was one of the first games I played remote play, and that worked incredibly well. Despite them not really remapping a whole lot of the controls for it, they remapped it just enough so that you could actually play it on the go, not on your big TV. If I could just load it up on my Vita and go, it's a huge thing for me. Remote play was like a complete revolution for me this year. But yeah, Infamous Second Son, I'm disappointed I didn't get to play the DLC. I still need to play First Light, but I've heard nothing but good about it. And it sort of makes me want to go back and play the previous ones, actually. So, yeah, Infamous Second Son, number 3. Number 2 is the game that I almost killed. Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor.
That made it number 2?
It made number 2.
Nice.
To get that much of a reaction out of me, to get me to a point where I literally wanted to dive into my TV and kill that dude. Because he was driving me nuts. And it wasn't like, some games it's like, oh, I keep getting killed by this certain type of enemy. No, it wasn't that. It's that guy. That specific guy. To form that level of for lack of a better term, relationship with a character in a video game, that game's doing something right. Something real right. And just that game, like you said, that game came out of complete left field. Didn't see it coming at all. And I really couldn't have been happier with that game, except for the remote play failure. You cannot play this game remote play whatsoever. Just a little bit of extra time going, okay, when remote play connects, swap the back touchpad, L2 and R2, to the actual buttons so that you can, attack and shoot instead of, having to hold down on the touchpad to do that. But yeah, this game literally got me so angry that I traded it for Destiny, which I'm okay with. But that is a testament to how good this game is. And number one, probably surprising nobody, is Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition.
Nice.
Because I think I spent like a good 3 months of the year just playing this after it came out. And the only reason I'm not still playing it is because I traded Shadow of Mordor for Destiny. Because otherwise, it'd be all Diablo all the time. It's got those same hooks that Destiny has. It's got that nice, carrot on a stick with the gear. It's like, okay, you got some new gear, you got some gems. Let's combine these gems. You've got 30 million gold. Let's combine some gems. Cool, you got 2 million gold now. Awesome. But the big swing for me was the actual Reaper of Souls content, the Nephilim rifts, and all that sort of like end game content. I finished this game twice now. I beat it on the 360 originally as the original version. I ported my character over and I started it from the beginning with that character and played it all the way through to the end. And Act 5 was real good. They did a fantastic job on that Act 5 content. They, it's sort of a denouement for the whole story instead of, just trying to take it bigger and bigger. They sort of were like, okay, well, this is the fallout from that and we're going to take it in this direction. And I think they did the lore justice, despite the story being,
It's Diablo.
It is Diablo, and for better or for worse. And they just did. Blizzard is another. Blizzard, much like Nintendo, when they hit real hard, and they do a really great job, and they try very, very hard to keep their core fan base happy. And I couldn't be happier as a Blizzard fan, unless I was still playing, World of Warcraft, but I wouldn't be, alive. So, but yeah, that's my list.
All right, I have a much different list than I like these years when all three of us have very different lists.
Nice.
My number 10 is Watch Dogs.
Really?
I kept putting this on the list and I kept removing it. I had a hard time putting this on my top 10 because Watch Dogs has a lot of problems. And Watch Dogs have some major story problems. It has some not so major gameplay problems, but I really like what Watch Dogs tried to do. And I platinumed it, so I played plenty enough of it, which is kind of half the reason why it's on the list. But yeah. Even removing Watch Dogs' story from consideration, I I like that Ubisoft tried to do something different. They tried to tell a different type of story. The gameplay was really interesting with a lot of the hacking. The multiplayer was surprisingly good. There were some decisions, specifically near the ending of the story, that I didn't really agree with. I feel like if the story was treated a little bit better and went on a little bit of a different path, I feel like it would have been much higher on my list. But as it stands right now, it was a good open world. I feel like it paid tribute to Chicago, one of my favorite cities.
It did a good job of that.
Yeah, and I feel like it was a PS4 game that looked pretty great too. There were controversies about the graphics, whatever. But I had fun with Watch Dogs, even though it has a lot of problems. So, Watch Dogs is number 10. Number 9, Counter Spy. This is a game that came out on iOS and PS3 and PS4.
Vita.
This super cool side-scrolling, cover-based, kind of Cold War spy game. It came completely out of left field and just grabbed me from minute one. There was just something about it where the levels were small enough. It was Metroidvania-ish. The challenge was enough, but you could kind of balance it through whatever you did in the game. The cover system was great. The graphics were cool in this kind of Cold War cartoony style. It really came out of nowhere and really just, for a couple of weeks, just grabbed my time completely. And I can't recommend it enough. It really flew under a lot of people's radar, but it's an outstanding game, and I think it's cross-save between PlayStation and iOS, if I remember correctly.
Ooh, that's impressive.
Yeah, it was a really great game. That really great, surprising game. Number 8, Hearthstone. Hannah already talked a bit about it. Not much I can add on top of that. Hearthstone is the same accessible quality that Blizzard often does, and the thing that company excels at. The Hannah talked about the card opening animation, which sounds like such a dumb thing, but is so critical for a card game that's digital, to try and recreate that sense of, oh man, I just got another booster pack, I'm going to open all these card decks and see what they have.
I'm going to peel it open real quick at the top and just pull them out just perfectly.
Yeah, like I feel like they accurately, as best as they could, recreated that in a really cool, explosive way. I think the thing for me that was the most appealing to me is the lack of text and voice chat.
Yes.
I really applaud Blizzard for sort of pushing the negative communities aside and just having these quick little emotes that every character has, where it's just like, thanks, good game, like, you got the best of me, and stuff like that, or, like a harmless taunt. I feel like for me that really added a lot to the game by removing that people being people, just saying like, hurry, go, like, all I want to know is I'm going to say hello to you at the beginning of the match, and I'm going to say good game to you at the end of the match, whether I lost or not.
Yeah.
And on top of that, playing the multiplayer, the ranked multiplayer, playing the cool arena mode where you're kind of seeing how far you can get on a certain amount of money. And I, like the Hannah, I never played any of the DLC. Because that rabbit hole, I could see how deep that rabbit hole was, and I am removing myself. But everything in there was of such a Blizzard quality that card games aren't my thing, but for a little bit of time, Hearthstone was my thing, and that was a pretty great time.
Yeah.
Number 7, Shovel Knight. Nice. Another game that I think a lot of people kind of missed accidentally. Hopefully it gets a new life on the PlayStation platforms. Shovel Knight is very much the NES game that they never made, if the NES hardware was probably about 10 times better than what it was. And that's certainly no I'm not talking any yang about the NES hardware, but it stretches that hardware. You believe that it could have been on the NES, but when you look at it, it really couldn't. But it has that same, it pulls from DuckTales, it pulls from Mega Man, it pulls from all these great NES tentpoles, and kind of smashes them together, and then makes all the gameplay and all the systems modern. You have a Super Mario Brothers 3 map. You have your Pogo like DuckTales. You have your bosses like your Mega Man, and they took all of them and they smushed them all together and they just polished the crap out of it. And what eventually came, and I only finished about 2/3 of the game, but what eventually resulted from all of that is just such a love letter to the retro games that we grew up with, but then proving they're still good nowadays.
Yeah.
Like if you could tell somebody like, hey, if you like Shovel Knight, go play Mega Man 2. Go play Sonic 2. Like those games are of a same quality that if Shovel Knight would have come out on the NES, it would have been one of those games that everybody has because it's one of the best on the platform.
Yeah.
And just an outstanding entry by a studio that I don't think had done anything else before that. So kudos to them. Number 6, Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes.
Yeah.
Super huge Metal Gear Solid fan.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit. Ground Zeroes doesn't have a lot of meat on the bone. It does if you really want to pick at it, and it really does if you want to really clean everything off of that. But the main game, like the Hannah said, is really an intro. It's really not really a demo, but the appetizer. It really is your training ground for everything that's changed between MGS4 and Peace Walker and then the Phantom Pain. So it really is this bridge. It's a rather short bridge, but it's this bridge between this older Metal Gear and then this newer Metal Gear that I think for me showed me that they're willing to take this universe as seriously as they had before, but still kind of have fun with it, and allowed you to kind of get your feet wet with everything that's been going on. And I thought it was great. I played it, I think, 1 or 2 times, and that was kind of all I needed. I got what I got out of it, and I said, all right, I'm really looking forward to the Phantom Pain. Thanks, Ground Zeroes. Number 5, Infamous Second Son.
Yeah.
By far not Infamous's strongest outing. I can say that for a fact.
Okay.
But Infamous game that's not the best in the series is still way better than the majority of the games that are coming out.
Yeah.
A surprisingly likable protagonist. A surprisingly despicable and hateful antagonist, which really came out of nowhere. A different look at a city that doesn't get featured in games for Seattle and Alaska also. A game that's never a state that's never featured in games. And they took the standard Infamous gameplay and they took all the cool world collecting stuff and they took the open city and they put it on the PS4 and they made it one of the best looking games on the platform, hands down.
Yeah.
It very much is, as Hannah said, a showpiece. But on top of that, it's a solid game. It's easy to play. It controls really well. There's nothing in it. There's no difficulty spikes. It's not too easy. It's not too hard. Like it's a very, very solid game. And Sucker Punch came out again and not really rebooted Infamous, but didn't really throw everything aside. And kind of made an Infamous game that was a really solid entry in the series, and hopefully gets people to try Infamous 1 and 2, because Infamous 2 is really good.
Yeah.
Number 4, Destiny. I had a really hard time trying to figure out where this goes on the list, and I might have been changing the list while Knobs and Hannah were talking. Destiny to me is kind of so first off, it's a surprise because it's a Bungie game. I haven't liked one of those since Myth 2.
Wow.
Like 85 years ago. It kind of takes the best parts of Phantasy Star Online that I like. The unknown loot, the repeated dungeons, the the same sort of skill style, the one hub where everybody goes and they identify all their stuff and they dance. It's a very similar system. And then they take the shooting that Bungie is very well known for, put it on top of that, and then they put some MMO trappings on top of that. And they kind of take these three things all separately that I really love, and then they smush them together, and Destiny kind of comes out at the end of it. I really didn't expect to like this. I didn't expect to like it nearly as much as I do. I certainly didn't expect to spend the amount of time that I did playing this game. And it's such a solid game, and so many of the parts are really solid. The game has, of course, had a lot of stumbles. It's had a lot of issues since launch. But being able to go through with my friends and with the TVGP community through the raid, I feel like made this game kind of turn a corner on me, and kind of boosted this game up in my list a little bit more because of that experience that I haven't had since the original World of Warcraft back in 2007, 2008. It's this very much people coming together, seemingly impossible odds, and then through your skill and through your knowledge, you are able to overcome those odds and get really cool loot at the end of it.
Yeah.
And there's something about that, and there's something about Destiny that just scratches my brain in that MMO part where I kind of love it, but I'm kind of scared of it, to go back down that rabbit hole again. And I think that's kind of the hallmark of a game that is really well made and that I really enjoy, that I kind of have to push it away, be like, no, I don't love you anymore. You just have to set it aside. Number 3, South Park: The Stick of Truth. This game should have been bad. I'm not gonna mince words. It's an Obsidian game. It's a South Park game. It's an RPG. It should have been the game that says, well, maybe we should stop making movie and TV games. But what we got was an astounding RPG, a technically a proficient Obsidian game, and a really great South Park piece of media. Nevertheless, a game. And I think most importantly for me, as somebody who loves Obsidian, is it was a proving ground, and Obsidian can say, you give us the time, you give us the money, you give us a little bit of patience, we can make an all-star AAA game. And they came out with a Stick of Truth, and they made a really good game, and they made a really good RPG. And somehow all of this worked, and it turned out to be a great South Park thing and a great RPG.
That was the thing, because it kept seeming like they kept giving Obsidian more and more rope to hang themselves with, and they didn't.
Yep, it's a miracle, and thank goodness Obsidian was successful with it, because, I think it's to their benefit. So
yeah.
Number 2, Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition.
Very nice.
I was trying to figure out if I wanted to put this game on my list, because I played Diablo 3, both on the PC, and I beat the crap out of it. I played on 360, I beat the crap out of it. And I played the Fifth Act, Reaper of Souls, on PC, and I played the crap out of that too. And when it came around to the PS4 version, I said, well, why not? Why not play it? Because it was great on 360, and it just pulled me back in. And
it does, man.
If it was just Reaper of Souls and Diablo 3 on consoles, it probably wouldn't be on my list. It would be in honorable mentions. But when you take that solid game and they make it work on controllers again, and then they take the exclusive console stuff like the Nemesis and the mail system and the Apprentice system, and they take all of this stuff that's special to the console version, I think that takes an already great game and kind of puts just a little quality top hat on it and just says, well, it's Diablo 3 and it's a little bit better. At the end of the day, it's Diablo 3, which is an outstanding game. It's one of Blizzard's best games, and I don't care how much controversy there's been around it. I've played hundreds of hours of this game over 4 versions over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, I think for me, Blizzard has knocked it out of the park again. And luckily, we've gotten like 3 Blizzard games this year because apparently it's the end times, and all of them are good. So Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition, go get it. It is outstanding.
It is.
And my number 1 game, probably not surprising anybody.
Yeah.
Binding of Isaac Rebirth.
What?
I never played this on the PC when the original version came out. Never clicked with me. I didn't really get it. There wasn't controller support, as dumb as that sounds. I didn't want to use the arrow keys and WASD to control this character. I had watched Patrick Klepek play it a ton on Giant Bomb. He had played a bunch, and I kind of found out what is so appealing about that game. And I love a good roguelike, of course. Mm-hmm. So for Binding of Isaac Rebirth, for me, Edmund McMullen and Nicholas took this already great game and added twice the amount of stuff on it, put a pixel art, veneer on top of it, and gave it away for free for PlayStation Plus. And it was then that I figured out that this is the perfectly designed game. This game has, I think, 400 items in it, and
wow.
You're always finding these new combinations. You're always finding new stuff that either go well together and break the game, or go well really poorly and totally break the game. And I can take a 20-minute run and beat the game and see stuff I've never seen before, and just see some absolutely crazy stuff. And I'm still unlocking stuff now, and I'm coming close to probably playing 100 hours.
Wow.
And I haven't finished everything. And the more you beat this game and the more you do in this game, the bigger and bigger and bigger this game gets. And it's so outstandingly great that there's nothing I don't like about it. And I think for a game to be my number 1 that's what it's got to be. It's got to be a game that I have just played the crap out of all year. In this case, like for 3 weeks. And I don't have problems with it. I'm sure I have minor problems with it, or I hate this boss, but for a game that's really well designed and just difficult enough, but kind of easy enough, and there's so much to it that I can't help but love it, and it's got to be my number 1 of this year. So we have 3 incredibly different top 10 lists, which is the best part about this episode.
But some nice cross, referencing. Yeah. There's a lot of Destiny's a common thread.
Yeah, there have been some amazing games this year that at least one of us have played. So, let's migrate over to honorable mentions. Knobs, what didn't quite make the list?
Golf Club.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so hoping that was going to be great, and it just kind of... I never really gave it the time.
Yeah.
It didn't quite grab me like a Lynx game I was hoping it was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be my one honorable mention. The other one would be Lords of Shadow 2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that came out this year.
That game had potential to be outstanding. It seemed to get in its own way in the whatchamacallit, in the modern day time version of the gameplay. It was a tale of two halves. One half was outstanding, the other half was this kind of... I don't feel like being Plague Rats right now.
Yeah. That poor game.
Yeah, I mean, the darkness... Well, nope, that's the other thing. I'm going to say that Dragon Ball Z game. I mean, I didn't play enough of it to make a list of any sort, but it was really good.
Yeah, that's a perfect honorable mention game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was... Like, I love those stupid characters so much, and
yeah,
it's just enjoyable to jump back into that world. Like, oh, you,
yeah.
I know you guys.
Krillin, come on.
Krillin.
And just, Piccolo yelling at Gohan. Like, it just doesn't get old.
Yeah,
it just doesn't get old.
It really doesn't.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for honorable mentions.
All right, Hannah, what about you?
I've actually got quite the list of honorable mentions just because of just like time.
Yeah.
I started almost all of these and never finished them. So, well, the one exception being the Swapper, which is my first honorable mention. A really great game, very like Metroidvania light, really good puzzles. I liked it. I'm not really sure I understood it. kind of like a really like dense book. Like I really liked that.
Like
it was
a
really
good
cool.
foreign film.
What was it about?
Yeah.
And, there's something about the ethics of cloning and, like, being yourself or something. Who cares? Really great puzzles. That's what I'm in it for. So that's my first honorable mention. My second honorable mention is going to be Cooper biting my hand to death here.
The Hannah's delicious.
Apparently. But no, my second honorable mention is Lethal League. The sort of baseball-based fighting game. I have no idea what he's trying to do at this point. All right, guy, come here.
He just wants to be on the show.
He does, yeah. He wants to play a little bit. But Lethal League was out of nowhere. My best friend showed it to me and was like, hey, we're playing this. And I was like, yeah, we're playing that. So if you haven't seen it, it's this crazy art style, this crazy awesome gameplay. Just the most interesting fighting game I've played in years.
Another great 2014 couch competitive game.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a couch co-op game if I've ever seen one. Number 3 is Don't Starve Giants Edition.
I
just didn't play enough of that.
Yeah.
I didn't play enough of it to say, hey, this is a really great game that I played this year. It's a really great game that I started this year. It might make it on next year's list. Who knows? Another one, same deal, Wasteland 2. I started it. I got through the first mission. It's real cool. It's very much like it should have been on my list, like Shadowrun was last year, but I didn't come even close to starting it.
Yeah.
Number 6, again, Transistor. Didn't finish it. Didn't come close to it. Child of Light, same thing.
Yeah, same for me.
Mercenary Kings.
Same for me.
Strider.
Ditto.
Strider, yeah.
Yeah.
The Wolf Among Us was my game of the year last year.
Yeah.
And I didn't finish it this year because apparently that's where my priorities are.
Yeah.
But my number one honorable mention is because it just came out this week and I just beat it this week, is the Game of Thrones Episode 1. I really liked it. I think it's the start of something good. We'll see where it goes.
For me, I have 10 of them, so I'm going to try and fly through them here real quick. Rogue Legacy on the PS4. I beat the pants off that thing on PC. It's outstanding on PS4. Everybody should go get it. And I already played a lot of it, so I'm not going to put it on my list. Persona Q. I've only played a couple hours of that, but it's the chocolate and my peanut butter Persona plus Etrian Odyssey thing. It's so far outstanding. I just haven't played nearly enough to have it on my list. Same with Forza. Just carrying a dog around.
Puppet butts, all right.
Same with Forza Horizon 2. That game is amazing. It looks great, plays great. Everything is great. I just haven't played nearly enough of it to have it on my list. Bravely Default. That actually came out this year. I played a hell of a lot of that and just pooped out on it. I don't know if I just played too much and just wore myself out or what happened, but I never even got up to the controversial part. So maybe 2015.
Maybe.
Dragon Age Inquisition. Love that game. Haven't played enough of it. I've only played 30 hours, so I can't yet say if it should be on my list or not.
You're like an eighth of the way in.
Yeah, not even close. Shadows of Mordor, same thing. I've only played a fraction of that game. It is outstanding. If I had finished it, would have been in my top 10. Just I hadn't played enough to figure out if Smeagol is going to find what he's looking for, his bright master. The Sims 4, same thing. Like it a lot. Didn't play it enough to find out if it's the best entry or not, but super fun. And they've been patching the hell out of that with missing stuff, so good for them.
Nice.
Sunset Overdrive. Great game. Only played like maybe 5 hours of it. I have to get back to it. Just didn't play enough for it to be on my list. Same with the other ones. Otherwise, it would have been on my list. Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. I think that was in my top 10 of last year. Game is outstanding. They made it look better. They smoothed out the edges. You need to go play that game. It's the best Tomb Raider game.
It's on my list for like stuff I need to pick up during the holiday sales.
Yeah, mine has grown every time we've talked. So
yeah. And my last one is Divinity Original Sin. It's the same thing that Hannah's in with Wasteland 2. I played a little bit of the beginning. Holy crap, this thing's amazing. I don't have time for it right now. I probably will never get back to it. Yeah. But that game is a classic CRPG in the best ways possible, and it seems like it just kind of scraped all the BS out of it and just delivered a really great game.
Yeah.
All right, next category is Best Game of Last Year, This Year, Knobs.
Oh, Darkness 2.
There you go.
There you go.
That's the start and end of the list. I mean, it was one of the games I was kind of kicking myself that I missed last year, but I'm so happy I played it this year.
Yeah.
It's real good.
The quad wielding is something that I never thought would be feasible as a game.
Yeah.
Like and it handled it with ease, and the character description of items was hands down one of my favorite things that I experienced this year. Johnny was great. That and the story was fun. It wasn't too long or too convoluted, but I mean, for that game, I mean, that was a great entry into that series.
Yeah.
Hannah, what about you?
That would be Resogun.
Oh, nice. That's a good choice.
I was sort of looking through a list of like what came out last year, what did I play this year, and I landed on 2. And I was gonna say Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag was really good. I didn't play a ton of it, but I did play a lot of it. But Resogun, man, that game got me. That game got me good.
Hey,
he loves it too.
Yeah, he also loves
Save the humans.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, that's Resogun. Start and end of list again. Like, wow. I can't wait for it to come out on Vita so the more people can play it.
Yeah. For me, Risk of Rain. The tiny game that came out of nowhere and reminded me, hey, roguelikes are really good. Hey, you really want to play these forever. Yeah. It's a solid game, great art style, great controls, enough characters to make it interesting without being overwhelming. They've been adding a ton of stuff to that game over the last year, and most importantly, the thing I love about roguelikes is if you get the right build, you are just a walking death tank by the end of it, and nothing can stop you. And that's one of the things I love so much about roguelikes. And wrapping up here, our very last category, games I missed. Knobs, what do you got?
All right, well, Assassin's Creed Black Flag is definitely up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hearthstone, even though I don't think it's really my cup of tea, it's something I still want to try.
It's free.
It is that.
Yeah.
That's the good price. I still need to play Metal Gear Solid Rising. Like, it's driving me nuts.
Yeah,
I
do
keep
too.
walking by this game.
Yeah.
I keep walking by. I'm like, I should. You're like $7. You should be in my collection as well.
Yeah.
The Last of Us, I think, is something I'd really enjoy.
You need to play that.
That's on my list.
Diablo 3, Ultimate Evil.
Yep.
I mean, with the winter coming up for me, that's a perfect time to jump into that hole.
Get on that, man.
And lose myself in it. And last is Tomb Raider.
Yep.
It's still just another one, just kind of keeps... it's in my hand, and I'm like, nah.
Yeah,
I keep hitting that mark. Like, same thing with like GTA 5. Like, I really want to play that game first person mode. But I can't see myself spending the money again. Like, it's just in this weird thing where there's like nothing I really want to grab. And there's 5, 6 great games right there that are just they're there for the taking. I just gotta commit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hannah, what about you?
Oh, let's start off with the big ones. Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yep.
I loved the first Dragon Age, and I've sort of avoided playing Dragon Age 2, which I'm told I shouldn't. But, man, Inquisition just looks... It's got that perfect mix of... It's a real heavy RPG, but it doesn't have to be all the time.
Right.
So I can, like, if I'm in the mood, I can just be like, hey, guess what? I'm going to go top down, and you're going to go here, and you're going to go here, and you're going to go here, and we're all going to do a pincer move, and it's going to be great. But that one I've just been looking at like, I need that game. Another one is Freedom Wars on the Vita. This is supposedly the biggest release on the Vita this year, and I haven't even touched it. So, bad Vita Viking. Bravely Default sounds like it is 100% up my alley. Yes, it is. And I really want to play it. Don't have a 3DS, so
bummer.
sort of in a spot with that one. I'll figure out a way to play it somehow. Maybe I know my brother's got a 3DS. He'll be home from school soon, so
there you go.
Maybe steal his and get a copy.
He doesn't like theft.
No, he's not a fan.
Not a fan of borrowing.
Assassin's Creed Rogue is another one I really want to play. Just haven't had the time to sit down and go get it. I've heard good things.
That's on my list too. I have it. I just haven't started it.
Another one on my list, Elder Scrolls Online. After playing Destiny, I had pretty much sworn off MMOs, and I played Destiny, and I was like, they tricked me into it. They tricked me into an MMO.
They told me it wasn't an MMO. They got me.
They told me it wasn't an MMO. They just said it was an online game. But I think I could go into Elder Scrolls Online and enjoy it and not get hooked, but then again, I probably would, so who cares?
Yeah.
Another one I want to try, and this is another one that's just I don't have the system. Sunset Overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I don't have an Xbox One yet, but when I do, this will be one of the first games I pick up for it.
It is a lot of fun. I can.
Tales from the Borderlands is another one I want to pick up, but just haven't yet. It's $5. I probably just should, but not yet. Shovel Knight. Yes, I have to play this game, and I've been because I was told when it came out, hey, this is eventually going to come out on the Vita. So I was like, all right, I'll wait, and now it's coming out on the 23rd.
Yeah.
So I'll be waiting for that. Broken Age sounds like that's going to come out with both episodes next year at some point. So I'll probably just play it then.
Yep.
And Wolfenstein: The New Order. I need to play that game.
That's on my list too. I forgot to write that down.
I think you'll enjoy it.
I think
so too. I mean, my formative years were Wolfenstein and Doom, so I have to get back to that eventually.
Yeah.
It's so different. I was not expecting that game at all because I was annoyed with the gameplay right off the get, and then it just kind of once you run into that first Panzer dog, you're like, okay, I'm in.
All right, from my list, Wolfenstein, I forgot to write that down. Number 1, Bayonetta 2. I have it. I have a Wii U. I just haven't put it in yet. I really have to. Oddworld New and Tasty. Really loved the first game. I've played probably about 10 minutes of this Oddworld. It's really great. I just got to get the time to play it. Broken Age. Same with Hannah. I probably played maybe the first hour of it. It's really good. I just never got back to it. I got stuck in one dumb puzzle. I just never went back to it. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Apparently one of the best platformers of this year. Just missed it completely. Yeah. The Walking Dead Season 2. Love the first one. Game of the year. Just haven't even started this one yet. I think it's out on the PS4 now, so maybe I'll do that. Last of Us Remastered. I did not like the beginning of the PS3 one. I hear it gets way better after the part that I'm at. I gotta give it another shot.
Yeah.
It's one of those games where you should play it if you like games, because it's important. And then Don't Starve Giants Edition and Wasteland 2, for the same reason that the Hannah said. Played them a little bit, but, gotta get back to them.
Yeah.
And that is 2014's top 10 lists. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Next week, we will have our predictions for 2015. One of our favorite episodes where we go through our 2014 predictions and laugh at how wrong they are. And then we make 2015 predictions. And then next year, we'll laugh at how wrong those are. So tune in next week. And thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you all next week.
Laters.
Peace.
All right, we are good. I'm going to stop our video here.
All right.